Welcome back to Explain America. This is your host, Kyle Becker. Well, they tried to frame President Donald Trump for a plot to overthrow the government. It never made any sense. January 6th was just a riot. And Trump, well, he wanted to protect the Congress and the election objections that were going on there, which was his real shot at maintaining the presidency. So Trump, his actions were legal all along. He has a constitutional right to object to elections. And no, he did not want rioting or an attack on the Capitol on January 6th. This is the big lie that the Democratic Party has been pushing for years. Well, one major media outlet got busted red-handed using deceptive editing, and Trump, well, he's seeking vengeance and he's not accepting their apology. But before we get into this story, please like, share, and comment at Explain America. Join us. We appreciate your support for common sense journalism. Well, President Donald Trump on Friday night signaled that his legal team intends to move forward with a defamation lawsuit against the BBC, despite its recent apology for editing clips from a speech in a way that appeared to indicate he was calling for violence. As you might know, because we covered it here on Explain America, two top executives at the BBC resigned in the aftermath of this scandalous revelation. Well, Trump's attorneys threatened to sue the network for $1 billion on Sunday over its broadcast of a Panorama episode that aired last year if it did not issue a retraction, apology, and compensate him for misleading edits. The BBC did apologize to the president and acknowledge it failed to live up to the company's standards, which is arguable because the BBC has been deceiving people for years to giving a left-wing biased slant to all the news that breaks. So what Trump said is we'll sue them for anywhere between $1 billion and $5 billion, probably sometimes next week, he said aboard Air Force One. I think I have to do it. I mean, they even admitted that they cheated, he added, and continuing on, he said, they changed the words coming out of my mouth. He added, quote, that's worse than what CBS did with Kamala Harris. And that was Trump's reference to a 60 Minutes interview that aired during the election. He also said, quote, they changed her answer, but at least they didn't show it coming out of her mouth, unquote. So the BBC is being held to account for its misleading reporting on January 6th. But what I want to know, and maybe a lot of you out there share this concern, is that the mainstream media as a whole has never retracted all of the misleading reportage, the deceptive commentary, and simply the big lies that came out about January 6th. We have IG reports that show Donald Trump told the Pentagon to secure the Electoral College during the January 6th process. And they failed to do that for so-called optics reasons. That never made any sense. Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House, her House Sergeant-at-Arms was not able to be reached over and over again in terms of getting authorization for National Guard troops. Former Capitol Police Chief Stephen Sun, he admitted under oath in testimony that he tried to warn them up to 3 days before January 6th about what was coming. The FBI certainly knew what was coming because they had infiltrated every extremist group. And they knew exactly what was going on. And now we know that there were dozens of undercover agents and assets between the FBI and other law enforcement agencies that were crawling all over the Capitol. And of course, we saw Metropolitan Police, even a few of them urged riders, future riders, some of them protesters, to go to the Capitol. And we saw Capitol Police opening doors for protesters, even despite the alleged deadly threat that they posed to lawmakers. That was one report that came out. So among all of these reports, such as the one about Brian Sicknick, the Capitol Police officer who died after the January 6th attack from natural causes, according to the chief medical examiner, we're looking at a slew of misinformation. And so the BBC report and its apology and the lawsuit, hopefully that's just the tip of the iceberg, because we need to set the record straight and tell the truth in this country about what happens and not push radical agendas at the expense of the truth and objectivity and what is good for the American people. So weigh in with your own thoughts. We always appreciate hearing from you at Explain America.